Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Imagine doing something stupid to get revenge just because some jerk was rude to you. It may seem stupid, but it depends on how much of an a-hole that person was to you. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. A-hole gets mad at me because I wouldn't do something that wasn't my job. A few years back, I worked at a lake in Idaho, about 15 minutes from West Yellowstone, Montana, inspecting boats for invasive species. The vast majority of people were nice, as they didn't want the fishing to decline because of things like quagga mussels, which aren't native to the region, but there was this one guy. For background, I worked at a low-traffic boat launch at a state park, but was employed by the county and didn't have much contact with the state park staff. So this guy pulls his boat off the lake after a morning of fishing and comes over to tell me very angrily that I need to show some initiative by telling the state park staff that some people had left their boat on the dock while they were parking their camper in the campsite. I basically told him that it wasn't my job and that he should show some initiative by telling the people who have the authority to do something about it, especially since there was plenty of open space on the docks and they just parked in his favorite spot. He hated this and became very irate. Turns out he's from the Boise area and spends his summers at this lake. The next morning, I got to my post at 5 a.m. and drove up just after. Usually these inspections took about 5 minutes, especially for repeat visitors, but I took about 15 minutes with his, which he hated. The next morning, he got out on the lake before me, so I started getting to my post at 4 a.m. and spent an unpaid hour there specifically to take my sweet time on this guy's boat. One morning, he was particularly angry and told me he wasn't going to let me inspect his boat, at which point I kindly reminded him that if he put his boat in the lake without me looking at it, he's committing a misdemeanor, up to $1,500 fine, and can impound the boat indefinitely, and that a few sheriff's deputies have been itching to have an excuse to get out on the lake while on the job. I took about 30 minutes on his inspection that day. I kept doing this until he went back home to Boise about 2 weeks later. I'm glad you managed to get back at him in a way that won't get you in trouble, and while appearing perfectly polite on the surface, he got exactly what he was asking for. And our second story, throw more fuel on the fire? Got it. When I was younger, my cousins and I would always go and hang out at each other's places. All of our parents were in very rural areas. To give you an idea of how rural, our nearest neighbor was over a mile away. For my cousin, this was elevated to about 10 miles. We did what any other teenage boys would do in the woods, whatever we wanted. For this story, I was at my cousin's place and we were having a bonfire. It was a little damp as it just rained, but his dad was fairly stubborn and had decided that he was going to burn some brush regardless of how long it was going to take him, and that we, my cousin and I, were just there to help him. Neither of us wanted to be out there, but my uncle insisted that we couldn't do anything else until all the brush was burned, and we helped him put away all his equipment, chainsaw, log splitter, etc. He tried to start the fire, and after about 30 minutes, finally got it to start. We tended the fire and got it to where it wasn't going to die before he decided to leave us in charge before going to get more brush. To keep the fire manageable, he had the foresight to separate all the brush in that area into multiple separate piles, no bigger than about 2 feet high and about 3 feet wide. As he didn't want the fire to die, he told us if it started to burn down to add more fuel to the fire to keep it going. As he walked away, my cousin eyed the 10-gallon red plastic container full of gasoline before returning a wicked little grin at me. I just smiled back because naive little me had no clue what he was thinking. After a little while, the fire had burned down a little to where we could add more branches, but instead my cousin grabbed the whole canister of gas and chucked it. More like dropped it into the middle of the fire. I stared wide-eyed as my cousin came back and said, "We should back up." Me, "What do you—" Cousin, "He said add more fuel, so I did." I looked at the canister, still sealed, and watched as the flames danced as they ignited the residual gasoline around the pour spout. Part of me thought, I should pull that out. But another part of me thought, this is going to be awesome. As I tried to figure out what to do, I heard the screen door to the house slam shut and realized my cousin had left me. I thought, OS. If my uncle comes back, he's going to blame me for this. I didn't have to think about it for long. I heard the screen door slam again, and my cousin emerged from the house with a .22 rifle. He walked up next to me, aimed at the canister, and said, "This is going to be amazing," before squeezing the trigger. The bullet flew and pierced the canister on the highest part of it to allow the fumes to escape. For those who've never seen a fireball that comes from an exploding canister of gasoline, it is absolutely glorious for those who were standing back far enough, which we were not. I was only able to watch for a very minimal amount of time before the heat and force of the blast caused me to step back and trip over the chainsaw and land smack on my back in a pile of brush. My cousin ended up tripping and rolling down the hill about 30 feet before ending up in a lake at the bottom. It was hard to tell how high the fireball made it, but it was at least 100 feet, because no sooner did my cousin drag his soaking wet butt with the rifle back to the top of the hill than his dad, my uncle, flew down the little trail on the quad screaming at us. "What the hell was that?" "I threw more fuel on the fire like you told me to," pointing to the exploded and still on fire shrapnel that used to be the gasoline canister. "I didn't tell you to use gasoline." "You said fuel. I used fuel." "Get the hell out of here, both of you." So we went inside, my cousin changed, I pulled prickles out of my clothes, and we started playing video games. Apparently my uncle had called my grandparents to come get me because no longer than an hour had passed after we blew up the fire than they showed up to take me home. On the way home, my grandpa asked how it was. I said, "Cool," and he told me in no uncertain terms that I was never to do that at his place. Fallout? I was never allowed back over to their house ever again. Your cousin totally told your uncle it was all your idea. And our next story. Rich lady calls me rude because I want her to pay for her drink. Some context. This happened 3 years ago. I don't remember the conversation with full detail. So 3 years ago, I had a summer job in the most prestigious music festival in my country, and I had the luck of working in the VIP area of the concert hall. The VIP area is divided into two halves and had two bars that took care of their respective half. I was the cashier in one of them. The VIP area had like 20 booths, all with a table and chairs. People that work with me tell me that I have a very calm and nice demeanor, and they love working with me because they feel comfortable and relaxed when they're close to me. My coworkers told me this all the time. I'm not just complimenting myself. And this is very important if you wanted your drink served. Of course, you needed to pay or have an invitation. Cast. Me is me, obviously. Rich lady, let's call her Linda. Barman, she was also the chief of our VIP bar. Waiters. Maitre d', he's like the boss, the one that makes sure that everything goes smoothly. It was a pretty uneventful night. I remember that not many people came to the VIP area that night. Towards the end of the concert, a woman approaches me in the bar, and the conversation goes like this. Me. "Good evening, ma'am. What can we do for you?" "A red wine." Just like that, without saying hello or please. I'm kind of used to that. Some of our clients were pretty snobbish and didn't bother to act like decent human beings. Me, with the fakest smile. "Right away, ma'am." The barman prepares the drink and then took a quick smoke break. The barman left me alone with Linda. "Ma'am, that'll be 15 euros, please." I know, that's really expensive. "Will you pay with cash or credit card?" Linda takes the drink without saying anything and started to go away, so I had to kindly yell for her to come back and told her, "Ma'am, you didn't pay. It's 15 euros. If you have an invitation ticket, that would also suffice." The invitation ticket covered 15 euros. If looks could kill, Linda approaches me and says, "You don't know who I am?" Sorry, I don't know. I honestly have never seen that woman before in my life. She scoffed with indignation. "You don't know who I'm seated with?" To be honest, the VIP area was very long, and later I found out that Linda was on the other half, and there was no way I could see where she was seated from my position. "Sorry, no." "Well, I want you to know that you're really rude." I was so shocked. This is the first time ever someone called me rude. So I just asked, "Me?" "Yeah, you're rude because you don't know where I'm seated." The logic and entitlement. I just stared at her, petrified, and Linda left a 20-euro note and left with the drink. The barman and some of the waiters returned to the bar, and they saw me mortified. What happened? Is everything okay? Yeah, I'm just shocked. That lady just said I'm very rude. Everyone was shocked to hear that. Some people even asked, but how can someone call this angel rude? Again, I'm not complimenting myself. They really asked that. Then when the concert ended, the maitre d' approached the bar and said that some lady complained that I was rude and asked for my side of the story. I just said that I told her to pay and she didn't want to. He understood and nothing happened. You think that was the last time we saw her? Oh boy. A busier night, a waiter spots her and we're like, yikes, not her. At some point in the night, one of the waiters comes with the command of 1 red wine bottle. Barman prepared the ice bucket with the wine. I give the waiter the ticket for the customer to pay and takes it to the table. He comes back empty-handed, and I ask the waiter, where's the 45 euros for the wine? I like people to pay right away. Waiter, OP, the customer at that table refuses to pay. What do I do? It was Linda. The barman, I have to say, she is a very sweet woman, but she's fierce when she needs to be, goes right away to her table. From my position, I can just see what's going on, but can't hear it. And I see barman grabbing the ice cube with the bottle and bringing it back to the bar. Me? What happened? Why is the wine back here? Barman, that woman, Linda, said that she doesn't have to pay, so I took the bottle away from her. Luckily, she didn't complain or anything. We told the maitre d' what happened with Linda, and he said she knew her and that she's a bit crazy and he'll take care of her commands from now on. We later found out that she's the wife of the owner of a big restaurant franchise in my country, and she kind of thought that gave her the right to have things her way. After that, we never saw her again. My husband owns McDonald's. Give me wine for free. That should be the title. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.